Annamalai Swami was born on November 14, 1905, and came to Sri Ramana in 1929 after leaving his family and home. Bhagavan was his god and guru who guided him daily. Soon, Annamalai Swami was asked to supervise the construction of all the main buildings in the ashram, a strenuous task for which he was allowed certain privileges like an umbrella and sandals. Bhagavan utilized this period as a training ground for both Annamalai and his brother, Chinnaswami, known as the Sarvadhikari or ruler over all. The ashram required a manager capable of asserting authority, and many were fearful of Chinnaswami's strict ways. Throughout his service, Bhagavan arranged for Annamalai Swami to alter Chinnaswami's plans, instructing him meticulously and always adding, "If Chinnaswami comes and argues with you about this plan, don't tell him that I asked you to work like this. Pretend that you are doing it on your own authority." This naturally led to frequent clashes. After more than a decade of service, Bhagavan, seemingly in jest, embraced Annamalai, triggering a profound experience of the self and ending his active role in the ashram. Annamalai Swami moved to Palakattu, a nearby sadhu colony, and began an intensive meditative life that culminated in the realization of the self. The following narrative describes how Bhagavan severed their formal relationship. These nightly visits were a special time for me. Whenever I visited him, Bhagavan would always talk to me with a lot of love and affection. Unfortunately, as I was soon to discover, this period of my life was drawing to a close. A few days later, when I entered the hall, Bhagavan covered his head and face with a dhota and refused to look at me. This was very unusual. He normally greeted me with a few friendly words whenever I entered the hall. He behaved in exactly the same way on the 2 nights that followed. On the 3rd day, I asked him, "Why is Bhagavan covering his face like a Muslim woman every time I come into the hall? Does this mean that I should not come anymore?" Bhagavan replied rather cynically, "I am just behaving like Shiva. Why are you talking to me?" The first sentence of Bhagavan's answer is a literal translation of a phrase which has the more general meaning, "I am sitting here, just minding my own business." I took this to mean that Bhagavan didn't want me to visit anymore. I left the hall and stood under a tree. After some time, Bhagavan called me back into the hall. Noticing no one else there, he asked, "Are you an atheist who has no belief in God?" I was too puzzled to reply. Bhagavan continued, "If one has no faith in God, one will commit a lot of sins and be miserable. But you are a mature devotee. When the mind has attained maturity, if one thinks that one is separate from God, one will fall into the same state as an atheist who has no belief in God. You are a mature sadhaka, spiritual seeker. It is not necessary for you to come here anymore. Stay in Palakattu and do your meditation there. Try to efface the notion that you are different from God." I left the ashram and never went back again. Although my room is only about 200 yards from the ashram gate, I have not visited the ashram once since that fateful day in the 1940s. About 20 days later, as Bhagavan was walking in Palakattu, he came up to me, smiled and said, "I have come for your darshan." I was quite shocked to hear Bhagavan speak like this even though I knew he was joking. When I asked him for an explanation, he said, "You have obeyed my words. You are living simply and humbly as I have taught. Is this not great?" Though Bhagavan had asked me not to come to the ashram anymore, I still thought that I had the freedom to talk to him when he visited Palakattu. Bhagavan disabused me of this notion shortly afterward when I went to see him while he was walking on the hill. He turned to me and said, "You are happier than I. What you had to give you have given. What I had to give I have given. Why are you still coming to see me?" These were his last words to me. I obeyed his instructions and never approached him again. I still had Bhagavan's darshan when he came on his daily walk to Palakattu, but we never spoke to each other again. If we met accidentally, he would walk past me without acknowledging my presence. Bhagavan had once told me, "Do not cling to the form of the Guru, for this will perish. Do not cling to his feet, for his attendance will stop you. The true Bhagavan resides in your heart as your own self. This is who I truly am." By severing the personal link between us, Bhagavan was trying to make me aware of him as he really is. Bhagavan had frequently told me that I should not attach a name and form to the self or regard it in any way as a personal being. Bhagavan gave me his grace and then severed the personal relationship between us. The bond of love and devotion was not separated, it was just restricted to the mind and the heart. When Bhagavan became very sick at the end of the 1940s, I was sorely tempted to visit him. I never succumbed because I knew that Bhagavan had instructed me to stay away from his outer presence. Some people, unaware of what Bhagavan had told me, criticized me. Annamalai Swami served Bhagavan for a long time, but he is not coming to see Bhagavan now that Bhagavan is seriously ill. Bhagavan remarked, "He is the one who is not causing any trouble." Then he added, "You people are here but your minds are elsewhere. He is elsewhere but his mind is here." In the years that followed, I tried to remain in contact with the real Bhagavan, the Bhagavan who exists eternally in the heart.